High in the Peruvian Andes, at roughly 2,430 meters above sea level, a city clings to a knife-edge ridge between towering peaks. Terraces spill down like green stairways. Stone walls catch the morning sun. Far below, a river coils through the valley like a silver thread. This is Machu Picchu, at once improbable and inevitable, as if the mountain itself decided to become architecture. For centuries, the outside world didn't know it existed. The Spanish never recorded it. Jungles crept over stairways, lichens softened the edges of stone, and the place went quiet. Today, millions come for what the eye can see, but the real story hides in what the builders understood: rock, water, gravity, starlight, and time. Why was it built? How did people shape stone so precisely without mortar? Why was it abandoned after barely a century? And how did it remain forgotten until the 20th century? In this documentary, we'll walk the ridgelines and the plazas, the terraces and the shrines. We'll look at the empire that made it possible, the engineering that keeps it standing, and the beliefs that gave it meaning. Machu Picchu is more than ruins. It is a conversation between humans and a mountain, one that still speaks if we learn how to listen. In the 15th century, the Inca rose from a highland kingdom to the largest empire in the pre-Columbian Americas. Roads stitched the Andes together into a single system. Relay runners carried messages across terrifying distances. Storehouses fed provinces from coastal deserts to cloud forests. At the center stood the Sapa Inca, the only Inca, whose authority was both political and sacred. Pachacuti, the ninth Inca ruler, was a conqueror and a visionary. He reorganized administration, expanded the road network, and invested in ritual architecture that projected power with stone and ceremony. Within this world, a royal estate in the clouds made sense. Part retreat, part shrine, part emblem of cosmic order. The estate needed a landscape that could be read like a calendar and defended like a fortress. A place where mountains, epos, were not background, but living guardians. Machu Picchu fits that vision. It is set on a narrow ridge ringed by steep, sacred peaks. The site's isolation created prestige. Its natural choke points allowed control. Its horizons became instruments for tracking the sun. To understand the city, we must see it as the Inca did, a stage where empire, ritual, and landscape performed the same play. Machu Picchu's greatness begins with its placement. The builders chose a ridge with cliffs on three sides and a natural saddle dividing two summits. The surrounding mountains, Huayna Picchu, Putucusi, and others, form a ring that Inca priests could read like a sacred text. To the Inca, certain peaks were living deities. Align a temple window to a particular peak, and you create a line between human ritual and divine presence. The plan divides the city into agricultural and urban sectors, upper and lower towns, ceremonial and residential zones. Processional routes climb toward shrines. Storage areas cluster near gateways. Narrow lanes funnel movement past thresholds that control access. The Sun Gate frames a first, theatrical view for arrivals along the Inca Trail. On the opposite flank, a path crosses a sheer cliff to the Inca Bridge, a removable plank over a carved void, an elegant, defensive pinch point. Nothing here is accidental. The city's orientation answers to wind, rain, and light. Broad terraces stabilize slopes and shape microclimates. Open plazas are placed where bedrock allows stable foundations. Even empty spaces, Courtyards, ledges, vistas work as instruments to move people, water, and attention exactly where the designers wanted them. The terraces are not merely fields, they are machines. Each terrace is a layered system. Large stones at the base for stability, gravel to move water, a filter of sand, and a cap of fertile soil. Heavy Andean rains hit the surface and disappear downward, traveling through the layers rather than washing the slope away. In one move, the Inca created farmland, prevented erosion, and locked the mountain in place. On these platforms, farmers grew maize, potatoes, and other highland staples. Terraces face different directions, catching distinct sun and wind. Each acts like a microclimate. Retaining walls absorb and release heat, buffering cold nights. Steps are cut into terrace faces for movement. Small drains hide in corners. Narrow channels carry overflow to lower levels. This is engineering disguised as landscape design. Terraces shape sightlines as well as soil. From the sacred precincts, a ruler could look across bands of green and read not just abundance, but order. For a state built on labor obligations, mitta, terraces were also political statements. The empire's capacity turned into ground you could walk on, season after season. Machu Picchu's finest masonry looks impossible. Blocks so tightly dressed that a knife blade can't find a seam. But the miracle is less about perfection than principles. Doors and windows taper upward into trapezoids. Walls lean slightly inward. Corners interlock with hidden keys. These choices dissipate seismic energy, the difference between a building that fractures and one that flexes. The Inca worked with local granite, prying blocks from bedrock and shaping them with hammerstones and abrasives. In elite precincts, temples, royal rooms, the surfaces are finely dressed ashlar. In residential zones, fieldstone walls with earthen mortar did the job. Foundations and platforms are unsung heroes, layers of stone and gravel that drain water and spread loads. Look for the quarry sector, where unfinished outcrops show how stone moved from living rock into architecture. Notice how builders incorporate natural boulders into walls, pinning them into place rather than fighting them. The result is an architecture keyed to geology. No mortar, few metals, just intelligence, patience, and an uncanny feel for how mountains behave when they shake. Atop a carved platform sits the Intihuatana, the hitching post of the sun. Its facets and angles align with key dates in the solar year, casting shadows that mark the turning points of seasons. Elsewhere, the cave called Intimache acts like a dark room for light, cut so that solstice sun pierces its interior precisely. The Inca watched not hours, but cycles, the path of the sun, the phases of the moon, the reappearance of the Pleiades, signals for planting, harvest, and ceremony. Architecture became the calendar. A beam of light falling on a specific plane at a specific moment told priests what the community owed the land and the gods. These alignments blend empiricism and belief. Measurement was sacred, and the sacred was practical. A city that knows exactly when the season turns eats better, plans labor better, and honors obligations on time. In Machu Picchu, astronomy is not an elite hobby. It is the clock that runs the state and the shrine that legitimizes power. In the early 20th century, Local guides led Hiram Bingham to the ridge. Photographs of temples and terraces electrified the world. Expeditions cleared vegetation and mapped the plan. With fame came controversy. Artifacts removed for study, debates over ownership and repatriation, and the challenge of caring for a fragile site suddenly placed on every traveler's wish list. Today, Machu Picchu is a UNESCO World Heritage Site and widely celebrated as a wonder. Visitor numbers are managed, trails require permits, conservators monitor slopes, joints, and paths. Popularity can damage what earthquakes did not, so protection is a daily practice. Routing crowds, repairing drains, and saying no when proposals threaten the balance. Stand at dawn as fog lifts from terraces and light finds stone. The city still works. Water runs, walls lean as they should, windows frame peaks with deliberate grace. Machu Picchu's lesson is precise. Build with your mountain, not against it. Make the unseen foundations stronger than what shows. Let ritual be a calendar that keeps people and land in step. The city the world forgot asks us not merely to remember it, but to learn from it and to leave it better than we found it.